Isaiah, "You shall be called by a new name that the mouth of the Lord will give. You shall be a crown of beauty in the hand of the Lord. You shall no more be termed forsaken, and your land shall no more be termed desolate. For the Lord delights in you." In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Please be seated. In this season of Epiphany, we enter the realm of light. In fact, the Greek church, in the language of the people, has called this season ta phota, the lights. And in the Eastern Orthodox Church, this season of light is celebrated as fully as is the season of Christmas. This liturgical season resides also in symbolism, something people in the East seem to understand much more readily than we in the West. The presence of water in Epiphany is as meaningful as that of light, perhaps reminding us that this was the preferred time for baptism in the early church. Indeed, last Sunday, in Episcopal congregations everywhere, we commemorated the baptism of our Lord, when Jesus was baptized in the Jordan River by his cousin, John the Baptist. And as recounted in last Sunday's Gospel passage from Luke, the people initially thought John might be the Messiah, but he answered all of them by saying, "I baptize you with water, but one who is more powerful than I is coming. I am not worthy to untie the thongs of his sandals. He will baptize you with the Holy Spirit and fire." Unfortunately, because of last weekend's snow, few of us were able to hear Bishop Marianne's thoughtful sermon on that passage from Luke, and her focus on what constitutes a baptism by fire, and her words of hope for this parish. Today, we move deeper into the season of Epiphany and step further into the light. Epiphany, the light breaking through, the light shining upon, the revelation unfolding. In today's gospel passage from John, Jesus has something of a personal epiphany. Encouraged by his mother, Mary, he embarks on his public ministry, the first of his signs, the miracle of changing water into wine at a wedding banquet in Cana, a Galilean town. From the text, it seems that Jesus is reluctant at first, initially ignoring his mother's pointed comment, "They have no wine." We don't know what caused him to change his mind, to show on this particular occasion that his time has come, to begin to reveal his glory. But he did. And our text this morning from John ends with these words, "And his disciples believed in him." From now on, they will stay with him through both the glory and the pain. And later, they will remember, they will understand, and they will proclaim the kingdom which they first witnessed a glimpse of with this first sign. In this first sign, Jesus takes something ordinary, water, and transforms it into something truly special. Out of scarcity, he brings abundance. The Reverend Ben Helmer is a retired Episcopal priest whose ministry called him to serve small congregations and who was the Episcopal Church's national officer for rural and small community ministries about 20 years ago. He has commented, and I quote, "There are many challenges to churches today. Some are small and struggling, hoping to grow and not finding their numbers increasing. Others have problems finding qualified clergy or raising enough money in pledges to balance the budget. Others have significant repairs to do on their buildings and lack the funds for the project. And some are in conflict with broken relationships in need of healing." End quote. The lessons appointed for today in the lectionary all seem to address these challenges and conditions in which so many parishes, including St. Luke's, find themselves. In the Isaiah passage, for example, the community has been in exile and has lost its vision and its focus. The promise of God's restoration, spoken by the prophet in those majestic phrases, could well be for today's struggling churches. "You shall no more be termed forsaken, and your land shall no more be termed desolate." The theme of hope, when there seems to be nothing but a failing future, is strong in these passages, and it is a stirring piece of prophecy for all who lose hope. And the Apostle Paul, in his first letter to the Corinthians, takes another tack that is a hopeful sign to churches feeling adrift in a sea of change swirling around them. He says there are a variety of gifts for building up the body, the church, all distributed by the Holy Spirit. And while Paul doesn't specifically state this in the passage, the implication is that all gifts are needed and every person is gifted for service. If God can take a group of exiles and restore them to greatness, and if ordinary people are gifted by the Holy Spirit with what it takes to be the church, then how can we ever think we do not have enough? Out of scarcity comes abundance. That is God's promise. It's important to remember that abundance does not equal wealth, and scarcity is not a synonym for lack of financial resources. Rather, I believe that a community of abundance is one where the Holy Spirit is truly at work, and a community of scarcity is one where the movement of the Holy Spirit is stifled, even sometimes thwarted. The size or relative affluence of the community really has nothing to do with it. Indeed, throughout the Christian world, people are building faith communities with fairly modest means in terms of secular wealth. And they succeed because these people have caught the spirit of the gospel, the good news. Namely, that God desires, God yearns for God's work to continue. The building up of God's kingdom right here on earth, right now. and God will use what appears to be modest to accomplish it. So if you are waiting for better days in the Episcopal Church writ large, or in our diocese, or in this particular parish, know that they have already come. If you are waiting until the right leaders appear, know that the time is now. If you are feeling down because of what you feel your church lacks, it's time to take an inventory of the many assets you already have. There is so much talent, so many resources in this community and in this diocese. There truly is the blessing of abundance. The transformation of the lives and church communities of women and men does not need to be expensive in terms of the world. And in God's economy, it's free. Our task is to lay aside the things that daunt us, that make us afraid, captive to scarcity. Putting on the garment of light in Epiphany means moving into mission now. So rejoice with the prophet Isaiah that God finds your church worthy of delight. And along with St. Paul, celebrate the gifts given you by the Holy Spirit to move forward in St. Luke's mission. Vow to be part of the work of the gospel which transforms water into wine and God's people into a holy communion of the faithful. Next weekend, our diocese annual convention will take place Saturday at Washington National Cathedral. But the night before, on Friday the 25th, many of us will gather at the cathedral for a pre-convention evening of fellowship, a meal, and a program entitled The Unstuck Church. The guest speaker will be Tony Morgan, Chief Strategic Officer at the Unstuck Church Group, and author of the book of the same name. And Mr. Morgan will share with us how churches can move from being stuck to becoming sustained, healthy ministry communities. The event is open to all for a modest fee, and registration is available online on the diocesan website, or tickets are available on the night of the event at the cathedral. During her visit to St. Luke's last Sunday, Bishop Marianne encouraged members of this church community to attend. Several of us from St. Luke's will be there, and I hope that everyone who loves this parish and is free next Friday will consider prayerfully going. Howard Thurman, the late African-American theologian, preacher, professor, writer, civil rights leader, and minister, once commented about the season of Epiphany, and I quote, "When the song of the angels is stilled, when the star in the sky is gone, when the kings and the princes are home, when the shepherds are back with their flock, then the work of Christmas begins. To find the lost, to heal the broken, to feed the hungry, to release the prisoner, to rebuild the nations, to bring peace among brothers, and to make music in the heart." As we move deeper into this season of Epiphany. My prayer for this community is that it refuses to remain stuck in old patterns and habits that aren't helpful and can even be harmful, and that it steps into the light and the abundance of God's never-ending love and grace. When the wine gave out, the mother of Jesus said, "They have no wine." Jesus said to them, "Fill the jars with water." If the Lord can take what we have as abundance to make what is needed, all we need to do is ask. And abundance, true, God-given abundance, is ours to behold and to taste and to see.